everyone, and welcome back to We're Talkin About. My name is Kaley Gray, and I am super excited to have my friend Lynette Lewis here with me. Lynette, this is like a dream come true.
Well, I'm honored and I'm excited as well.
No, I heard Lynette speak here at church in Tulsa, where I live. At the time, she was living in New York, and she came in and was a guest speaker for a ladies' event, and that was probably like 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And I just remember I was so encouraged. I was just in my single season, feeling so down, and her story just brought so much encouragement to me. And like, if Kaley would have known like 8 or 9 years ago that you were going to be on her podcast, she probably would be like freaking out right now. So I am just truly honored that you are here. So thank you so much.
Well, Kaley, you have really been a gift to my life because many times when I come to Tulsa, we have a chance to catch up, but also you've been so gracious to pile my little girls in with your crew, and you are gifted beyond words. They love you. They talk about you a lot.
Aww.
And they always like, Kaley Gray, can we be with Kaley Gray? So thank you.
Oh,
they're
so fun. I love them. We have a blast.
They do. They love being with you. So that's another crossover that we enjoy.
Well, thank you. Well, Lynette, she is an author. She is a TEDx speaker, a business owner, a wife, a mother of 6, and a co-host of the What Are You Thinking podcast, which is really fun with her and her husband. So I'm going to have all of her information below, so be sure that you check her out. But I'm excited to talk today. So I brought a little something if you're watching on YouTube. I have a ring here, and it is a ring, and it has roses, and it's a road, and there's roses at the end. And this has to do with the book that you wrote, Remember the Roses. And this book was one that you had spoke on, and it was such an encouragement of somebody in their single and waiting season. And so I want you to tell today's listeners the purpose and the meaning behind.
I would love to. It's been one of my, I guess you realize over time, and I'm sure everybody watching and listening relates to this, that so often the stories that are being written through our life experiences feel so random, and they feel so different than what we would write. Yeah. In some respect, they're always going to be different. And then the older you get, you look back and you're just so grateful that they got written the way they did. And so my story that I'm about to share is one of those very different journeys than I would have expected. So the way that the title of the book came about, it's called Remember the Roses, tagline, how to hold out, hang on, and marry the man of your dreams. So when I went to Oral Roberts University, just up the street from here, and I honestly never dated much in high school. I grew up in a strong Christian home, and I was real particular. I didn't want to compromise, but I also kind of felt bad that I never got to go to many dates or anything like that. So I come to ORU, and I'm thinking, all right, I hit the jackpot, because it's like 6,000 kids, 5,000 at the time. Lots of great Christian guys. And I just had it in my heart. I thought, I'm probably going to meet my husband at ORU. And so I get through my first couple of years, and I guess it was my junior year. I'm having fun meeting different people and wonderful friendships that we get at ORU, which is amazing about the university, but no one's serious. And I am taking a nap one afternoon. I'm not a big napper, but I had a dream, and I remembered it this time. I don't often remember my dreams. I'm not one of those people that has a lot of dreams that they recall. Yeah. But this one was real clear to me, and it went as follows. I saw a woman walking along a road, and it had twists and turns along the way. The thing that struck me about it was, and the woman was walking all by herself, and her eyes were fixed on something at the end of the road. I couldn't see what she was looking at, but she kept walking along very determinedly. And alongside the road, on both sides of the road, were planted these single long-stemmed roses on each side, about a yard apart on each side. So she would walk along, and she wasn't picking them. She was just walking. And every once in a while, a man would come up to the side of the road in the vision, and he would hand her a rose over to her, but she would never take them. And she just kept walking very specifically toward whatever she was looking at. Well, before long, I saw another road coming into the picture. It struck me because it looked a lot like her road, same kind of brick, same kind of twists and turns. And on this road was a man, equally as fixed on something at the end of his road. the roads began to come closer and closer together. When they became one road and merged together, they never turned to look at each other, but he simply reached over and grabbed her hand, and in his right arm was the biggest bouquet of roses I'd ever seen. He hands her the bouquet, still never looking at each other. They now walk forward hand in hand, she carrying the roses, and before long they come into this extraordinary garden filled with every kind of flower and fragrance, and it was just glorious and beautiful. But the thing that struck me most was I could feel that the presence of God was there, that it was like God's glory was coming down upon them. And they stood there in that presence. And I heard the voice of the Lord say that very famous verse, "Well done, good and faithful servants, enter into your reward." And so that was the end of the dream. I wake up. I kind of remembering it in a foggy way. And over the next few days, I start getting more clarity. It starts coming back to me. So I just simply asked the Lord, is there a meaning to this? Yeah. What would you want me to know? And I started writing in my journal, and I heard the following: Lynette, I've called you to a road of my choosing, and I want you to keep your eyes on me. Along this path are going to come men in your life at times that are going to have good things to offer you with the rose. But I don't want you to be distracted by those things, because if you will keep your eyes on me at the right time, not because you're looking for it, but because I know the timing, I have called a man who's equally as fixed on serving me as you are. And when it's my time, the roads will come together, and this man will not distract you from me, but he will strengthen you when he grabs your hand. And he will have all those qualities that you desire in your heart represented by that bouquet. And the two of you will walk together and fulfill my purpose in the world. Well, Kaley, I was, as the vision was coming together and I wrote it all down, first of all, I think anytime we get a sense like that from God, it's easy to wonder, is this just me?
Yeah.
Okay, I really want to get married. I want to have a husband. Yeah. Maybe I'm just making this up.
Yeah, was this a dream or the pizza I ate last night?
Exactly. Or just like I'm getting older and I'm getting more. But it was such a definitive dream, and I knew I couldn't make up all those details. And when I really got that sense from the Lord, I just wrote it down, and I decided I'm going to hold on to this. And so, of course, I also thought this must mean that it's going to happen pretty soon. Like, I'm on the path. This path has got to be like 4 years long, right? I'm going to meet him here at ORU. It's going to happen quick. And I was encouraged by it. Well, I graduated, no husband in sight. Meanwhile, all my friends were finding their husbands, getting married, starting to have many children. Now I'm getting in my 20s. Then I'm getting in my 30s. I'm still waiting, holding out. Honestly, my birthday is the day before Valentine's Day. And many times I would wish I was getting flowers on Valentine's Day, but I would hear the voice of the Lord say to me, remember the roses. Remember the roses. It even touches me now. Wow. Because there are a lot of people watching or listening that either they're going through this or they know somebody who is. Yeah. And it's because so often it takes longer than we think. And especially if we're holding out for God's best. It's not an easy choice. And there were many men that came along with roses to offer, because finding a guy to marry is not a hard thing. But finding someone who is God's best in God's time and in God's way, that takes faith, and it takes journeying, and it takes strength. And so finally, so my birthday is right before Valentine's Day. I would hear the Lord say, remember the roses. And I just started buying myself flowers on Valentine's Day. Really? And I would put them in a vase, and I would look at them, and I would say, I'm going to just choose to believe. It's just making me sensitive, because I still carry the heart for women who are waiting, for men who are waiting, because it's not easy. And we have a culture that really overly sensationalizes romance and marriage and having babies and all these things. And it's a kind of an interesting dichotomy in the culture, because on the one hand, we're told, go grab your dream, be a woman, you don't need a man, you don't need this. But on the other hand, if our heart desires those things, sometimes we really have to pay a price to wait. So I know I'm talking long, but
I love this. This is so good.
Finish the story. So remember the roses, the Lord would say to me. So I'm now almost 40 years old, and I'm really thinking about moving to New York City. I just had this dream for many years, really, to maybe someday move to New York. And I wondered when and how that would happen. Didn't know. I'd been working in Tulsa for many years. And sure enough, the Lord opened a door for me to move. I kind of started all over. I'd become very active in the community, serving on boards and leadership roles, and been promoted in my career. And while all my friends are still having their babies and everything's going on, my very best friend, all these years, has 10 children. And yeah, she had a lot. So she was very fruitful. She multiplied just like she was supposed to. But I would always feel like I'm falling a little bit more behind. And we can start feeling that, especially when you're no longer the bridesmaid, but now you're the aunt. Yeah. And now you're given all the baby showers and the multiple baby showers. But anyway, I just kept, and I'll share more on what God taught me through those single years beyond just waiting. But I moved to New York City, and I was working at Deloitte, a big accounting and consulting firm there. And then the events of 9/11 happened. And I should have been in the middle of the whole thing that day on September 11th. But by God's grace, I wasn't. And what I didn't know is that while most people were leaving the city out of the chaos, there were a couple men coming into the city. They happened to be pastors, and they decided we need to plant a church here in New York. And one of those was a man named Ron Lewis. He was from North Carolina. He was coming into the city. He was going through horrific loss of his marriage of 20 years. And of course, I didn't know any of this information. I just started going to the church. And we met over the next several years, and we became friends. And he was the man that God had for me on that road with the roses. So we've been married now almost 20 years.
Wow.
And he gave me the gift on our wedding day of 4 teenage boys that I inherited, one of the greatest gifts of my life. And then 10 years ago, we adopted twin baby girls that were newborns, that I also had a dream about that. And so there's so much I could share, but I will tell you, the ring that you've got, I became a speaker over the years and have done that now professionally for many, many years, much in the corporate world, some in churches, of course, in faith-based settings. And when I share that story, one day a woman was in my audience and she said, I want to create a ring that expresses this road of the roses. And so that's what the ring looks like. The finger in the middle is the road, and the roses are on each side. And I wore that ring, many years, and many others have worn that ring in faith. And God is so faithful, Kaley, because I always say it was different than what I thought, but it was better than what I imagined. And even on our wedding day when we got married in New York City, we had roses going down the aisle. And it was always my dream to print that dream up in the program, especially for my friends that didn't know the Lord, so that they could know that God is faithful.
Amen.
And what he promises he will do. And it will be so different, but so much better, bigger, broader. We realize that our dream is never just about us.
Yeah.
It's always about the world, the kingdom, the people that it will have a ripple effect for. And I'm just so glad, not that the Lord made me wait, but that he helped me write his story.
No, I think that's so beautiful. And I think, just everything you said in there, I love it. But just in your waiting season of like having the vision, writing it down, because you were like probably in your 20s.
Yes.
And from seeing that
Early
vision
20s.
and that dream. And then it was like 20 years later before
That's
it came
right.
to pass. And I think so many times we think, okay, this is the vision God gave for me, or somebody prophesied over me, or this is what I want. And I've been guilty of, I've been given God a timeline. I'm like, this is when I want this to happen. And that's not right. We can't do that. But I love how you said we have a dream sometimes, but when we allow God to take and surrender what our dream is, his dream is bigger and better for us.
It's so much better.
Your story just has encouraged me, because it just shows me you really don't know what God can truly do in your life.
Yes.
Like you had this dream, but he just expanded the dream and prepared you. And what I had told you earlier is why I bought this ring was because it's a great tangible reminder. Mm-hmm. And I think that's so important in your single season, in your waiting season, to have a tangible reminder just to kind of give you hope in the days that are really hard, where I can look back at this ring and I'm like, remember Lynette, her story, and just how that impacted me. And I just see the testimony of what God is doing in your life. And I know it's not going to be the same for me, but it gives me hope that I know God's going to write something beautiful for me. I wanted to interrupt today's episode to talk to you about liquid collagen. Now, I've been taking a type 2 liquid collagen for the past 4 years, and it has had so many benefits to my hair, skin, my gut health, all of the things and more. And so if you were like me and maybe didn't know a lot about what collagen was, liquid collagen has a 90% absorption rate compared to a powdered collagen. So if you are interested in getting more information, I have a link below that will give you anywhere from $10 to $25 off your first order. And so if you have more information about liquid collagen, be sure to DM me. I would love to give you all the facts. But now back to today's episode.
I just so agree. And it's so interesting. I can remember it I got back a memory right as you were saying that. I was here in Tulsa through my job. I was doing an event for alumni, and I was manning a table at an event. And I had been in a relationship. I wasn't in very many serious ones, but I had been in a very serious one, and we had broken up. And he said, I just don't have the feelings for you that I feel like are long-term. And it was heartbreaking, because I really thought he was the one. And so now I am in major recovery mode, and I'm going to man this table that night, and this guy shows up, and he's with somebody else. And he's attending this event. And so now I am so crushed and so shaken by this. And I'm manning this table. Now, only God could do something like this. A young woman runs over to me, and she says, I'm behind the table. And I had started during the years in my 20s and 30s speaking at a lot of women's conferences and on campus at ORU, but in churches all over. And invariably, they're asking me to do singles conferences. And I'm like, any other subject than this? No, but I was honored, of course. And then a lot of corporate things. Anyway, so a young woman that I never met ran over to me, and she said, are you Lynette Troyer at the time? Are you Lynette? And I said, yes. And she said, well, I want you to know that today is my 25th birthday. And I heard you speak several years ago about how you are waiting for God's best. Mm-hmm. And I want you to know, if you've ever wondered if your life counted for anything, these were her exact words. She said, I want you to know that because of your story, I'm holding out for my story. Wow. And how did God know? God knew that I needed to hear those very words, because our story is never just for us. Yeah. It's to help other people coming along behind us. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of it, is we're kind of all in this together. Yeah. And the temptation is, I want to go hide and just hope I was right and feel increasingly foolish. Mm-hmm. That's how we feel. Yeah. Like there were many years, certainly at that season, this guy broke up. I must have been crazy to even have this dream. And yet for that young woman, it was helping her, and we're having this conversation and it's helping someone that's watching, someone that's listening. We can do this, but we need each other, and we just need to have someone that says, my friends used to say to me, you remember the roses, Lynette. We're remembering them for you. And they speak back our dreams to us in a moment of need. And we just have to do life in community and have to lean into friends and have to not hide away, because we need each other.
No, that is so true. And I think about that, just the community. If it does make the single season easier.
Yes.
And I know there's some people that don't have that community, but I actually just did a podcast recently about community. So if you haven't listened to that, please listen to that, because it really is important in our single season to find community and not be lonely. But it is so easy to almost feel like God's forsaken you. He's forgotten about you. I just turned 34 this year, and having a podcast about relationship advice and talking about singles, that was not the dream. And I was like, God, you really want me to be the single girl that's always posting content about singleness? Really? Right. And it's never out of cry for desperation. It's mainly to encourage people that you can have fun in your single season. I'm changing the narrative of single season. I want people to enjoy their single season, make the most of their single season. Yes. But I also don't want people to think that's not what I want, because I am working and preparing for that next season of life. And that is what I desire most, because I've been told, they're like, Kaley, you look like you're having too much fun. Do you even want to get married? And I'm like, yes, I do. But I'm not going to have a pity party and be Eeyore all the time, walking around.
Yes.
So what is something that that you've learned in your single season, even though it was a long time ago, but the waiting, what was something that that you felt that you've learned in that waiting season?
Well, I'm as passionate about as I am about really clinging to the Lord and having community and all that. My other big passion is just when one dream is on hold, go live another. Like, don't hold back. Don't tell yourself, well, I'm going to do that when I get married or whatever, because if I had done that, I would have been, I think, a shrinking violet. I mean, I just decided that I was going to go live my big life, because every season has its gifts. Yeah. Every season. And my friend who has the 10 kids could easily look at my life and say, so much independence, can travel the world, which I did, able to speak, able to move to New York on a dime.
Buy whatever you want.
Buy whatever I want.
Yeah.
In fact, one of my books is called Climbing the Ladder in Stilettos. And I did an event at Saks Fifth Avenue in New York City where I was talking about the gifts of different seasons. And so I was doing it in the shoe department. This was an idea I had and they wanted to do it. And I had different shoes expressing different seasons of our life. And I had a Birkenstock, which my friend with the 10 kids loves. I love Birkenstocks too. But at the time I was wearing stiletto boots to work, and I showed the two shoes and I said, you know, this boot has its place, but this shoe has its place as well. And what we don't want to do is always wish for what we don't have. Because here's the thing I found too, Kaley. I remember right after Ron and I got back from our honeymoon. So now I have my 4 sons and I've moved in with Ron and the boys. And I remember waking up about 2 weeks later thinking, so this is it. It felt so much the same. We think it's going to be so different, so much more dramatic. I had different circumstances, but in here, it felt the same. Because at the end of the day, it's me and God. Yeah. It's me and the friends I have, still needing my girlfriends, still needing to go after my dreams. You know, my husband isn't looking to complete me. We're looking to partner for the kingdom. And obviously there are things you shift around, but most of what you feel, one of my friends said, marriage multiplies the state in which it finds you. And so if you're happy, fulfilled, and full on the inside, you're going to have the same experience as a married person. Yeah. But if you're not, it's unlikely that marriage will really satisfy that longing. And I'm just so grateful. Now I see it so clearly because I've been married 20 years. And I was single till I was 42. Even motherhood's been that way for me. When we adopted our twins 10 years ago, and of course I had my sons all those years earlier, it's you and your wholeness, personal wholeness. That would be my other piece of advice in our single years, is run after wholeness. Do the therapy. Get your heart and your life and your spirit and your soul whole. Because that's where peace comes. Yes. Not from fulfilled dreams. They're wonderful. But ultimate lasting peace is wholeness. And wholeness is not just comes. We usually have to do labor to get there. Yeah. I sure did. And I'm so glad I did.
No, wow, that is so good. I love that. And something I know you've been such a dream setter, and something that you started was My Why Life.
Yes.
And this is know your purpose, live your dreams. Yeah. And I think so many people struggle with knowing their purpose in life and how to live those dreams and how to chase them. And not only do I think that's really important in your single season, but I think it's very important in all seasons of life. But you do have a little bit more extra time in your single season to kind of focus on those things. So for someone who is struggling with their purpose, what could you encourage them?
It really, these tools that I've been teaching now for about 20 years, we formed this company with one of my single friends, who's an amazing corporate woman. We formed this called mywhylife.com. If anybody wants to check it out, mywhylife.com. We have our tools out there now on how you can write your own purpose statement, how you can connect it to the life you're living now. And that's really the power. Yeah. We think purpose will come and I have to go find myself or change my life or change my dreams. I found that when we have the clarity on our purpose and on our why, and we can say it, not just in concept, but it's clearly written and something we can say, it becomes like a GPS, like putting that exact address, where it's not just take me to this corner, but take me to the right floor at the right building at the right time. And purpose becomes that guide. And so I think finding our purpose is essential. The oldest person I've ever had go through the class or go through the tools was 80 years old. Wow. She loved it. She lit up. she had greater clarity. The youngest person was 13, and she loved it too. And men, women, young, old, seasoned, retired, working, I've done this now. We're just really all over the world. And the result is always the same, because our Creator puts our purpose in our DNA and in our heart. And when we cognitively come to understand it, we light up.
Yeah.
Because it's more than just my job, my career, my passions, my hobbies, even why I want to do a project. It's clarity on who I'm made to be. And so I've loved working on just trying to scale it. Been trying to get it out there in a tool fashion that it doesn't require me to go speak or me to teach the class. And we finally have that now. So
I love that, because they can do it at home. They can do it on their own time.
On their own time.
Schedules are crazy, but I think that's such an important tool and something to truly invest into yourself. So I
agree.
I love that you are doing that.
It's a lot of fun to see people light up.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Oh, I love that. And so I hope that you guys, I'll have the link below for you to check that out, because it is really amazing. And Lynette has been a mentor to me just over the years. And so you should just have her, get all her nuggets. She knows so much. So let's just take all that we can. So.
Well, at this age, there's nothing more rewarding than to know what cost you blood, sweat, and tears, years of wrestling, years of pain and questions. Then you get to the point where you're like, let me just cheer someone else on along the way. Because our stories help each other. I know I've had many stories that have carried me on. So I'm honored to share mine.
Oh, I love that.
For your great audience. So.
Oh, well, before we end today, is there anything that you would like to share to just the person out there that might be struggling in their single season and they just kind of need some hope and encouragement? I know listening to this episode, just hearing your testimony and your love story.
Well, thank you. There's so many things I could say, but the kind of the nugget that I'm feeling led to share right now would be that don't always think it's you. Because so often I think and I'm a real leader, perfectionist type. So there were always things that I was trying to correct about myself. Now, I do believe in becoming personally whole. And I think that is the work that each of us have to do at some level. And better to do it when it's just you than when we're responsible for a lot of other people. But it's never too late to do that work. But oftentimes, more often than not, it's not about you that is why it's not happening. It's about the bigger story. The people, the circumstances, the place, your ripple effect. Because every marriage, every relationship, every decision we make has a ripple effect. And there's a verse I love that says, the blessing of the Lord makes rich, and he adds no sorrow to it. So if we force something that's the right idea at the wrong time, then sometimes sorrow comes with it. But when I married Ron, I realized that there were 4 boys, their story, their ages that mattered, Ron's story, our churches that we were going to start leading together, that he'd been leading, my career, my family, so much bigger than just my need to somehow be ready. Maybe I wasn't ready yet. People will tell us that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, when you get content, or I just think that if we lean into the great author and storyteller, and we trust that he's writing a story that he knows needs to be the way it is, then we can rest and be joyful and be happy and trust in parts of the story that we don't understand. So that would just be my nugget. Maybe it's just not about you, but about your story, bigger and better than you even know.
I love that. Oh, it is. It's true. It's not about you. It's about your story. So I love that. And it's his story.
Right.
So, wow. Oh, thank you so much, Lynette, for being here. This has been so fun.
What a joy.
I know. We were going to have to do this online, and it worked out that you were in town to do it in person.
All the better.
So I know. I was so excited to hear that. And so I hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode. Be sure to subscribe and leave a comment to let us know what you thought of today's episode. And I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.